Hey everybody, my name's Mike Montgomery, and today we're taking these basic windows in the house that I'm renovating and converting them into DIY motorized smart shades. And the best part is you need zero electrical or wiring experience. So let's get started on modern builds. Now, one of the reasons that I'm so excited for this video is I genuinely did not know that motorized rechargeable smart shades were a thing. I thought you just had to run low voltage wire to your windows and that was the only way. But in today's world, everything has a rechargeable battery and that does extend to roller shades like these from Smart Wings. I'm expecting this to be a very cool, luxury premium upsell to the house. But either way, you're gonna get super genuine, candid feedback during the install and after it's complete. Let's get going.
The windowsills in each room definitely need sanded and repainted, so before we get to this install, I took time at each window just to clean that up.
And I guess at one point in time, this was painted yellow, which we're not gonna be going back to.
I used 150 grit, which got everything really smooth before I came back with white enamel paint made for baseboards and trim. And this really did make a huge difference. All the rooms we're working in are basically 90% finished, and one of the big negative aspects are these busted windowsills.
As you can tell, there's a little bit of gray paint from the previous color of the house that bled onto the windowsills. At first, I thought I could use some paint thinner and scrub it away, but after that didn't work, I grabbed a razor blade. And I was just too scared I was about to damage the actual frame and also didn't get great results. So I switched to a chisel where I was able to get a little bit of the paint removed, but I'm pretty confident I'm still not doing the exact right thing. But if you're an expert that knows the go-to move here, please leave it down in the description. And that's what I'll do around the house, plus everyone else will know.
This latex painter's caulk is what I use to smooth out all of the joints between the drywall and our windowsill and the trim pieces themselves. A couple drops of dish soap in a spray bottle full of water make it really easy to smooth out a caulk line without making a mess. I don't know why, but the latex caulk doesn't stick to the dish soap, and so when you go to spread it out with your finger, it sticks there instead of smushing and making a mess that's tough to clean up. And even though there is still a little bit of that paint bleed, I used latex caulk to make sure there was no gaps, cracks, or anything between the drywall and the window frame. And that kind of ended up making it look better too, but please leave me a comment down below on how I get that paint off the frame. But now let's get to the roller shade installation.
I've been told installation is easy, but I think we're about to find out. Very cool. The instructions say that the two brackets on the back should be slid to where they're 4 inches in on each side. And then the idea is to center your shade and mark where we need to drill for our bracket install. We'll drill holes for this, and if it doesn't line up with any 2x4 framing, I'll install anchors.
I was really grateful that I did have wood basically everywhere I was putting screws, except for 1 or 2 places I did use a drywall anchor. And I'll leave links down below to some heavy duty ones that I use. Even if you don't need them for this project, they are good to have around the house. Getting the actual shade onto the brackets isn't tricky, but you do want to do it the right way. First, you want to press up and in before you pivot it into the bracket.
You want to hear that snap. That means it's locked in, we've got one done, let's finish out this bedroom. And now that we know what we're doing, this should be pretty quick and easy.
I should note, it's not necessary for the brackets to be 4 inches in. If there's a little inconsistency in your window frame, you can shift and move that around because the brackets aren't visible in the end product.
There's 2 little cleats on the back, and the idea is you want to get the bracket into the front cleat first while it's angled like this. Then you can push in and pivot into place. Easy peasy, let's test this out.
The roller shades are controlled by a simple remote that's automatically paired to your shades when you purchase them. Just remove this piece of protective foam so that you can press this button to take the roller out of sleep mode.
Now we'll grab the remote and test these bad boys out. And now it is time for our first test. It works. Okay, really simple. Basically, you press up and down, and depending on what shade you want to control is what these arrows are for. How cool is this? I absolutely love this gray color. And one thing that's really cool is you don't have to go with the gray like what's on here. This color I have is called Essential Gray, and I just love how it looks. It reminds me of that classic mid-century modern gray, but it's still very contemporary. And I would very highly recommend getting some of the sample packets from whoever you get shades from. That way you can see the fabric in person. Because online I did have a favorite, which was this gray colored safari pattern. But in person, for my taste, it was obvious once I saw this that it was basically what I was going for.
That is 2 out of 12 windows complete, but let's see how this is maybe more complicated with a bigger window.
And now we're here in the master bedroom where we've got a big window with a big shade. I've already taken care of cleaning up the windowsill, which was in okay shape. Just like before, I gave it a good sanding, I painted it all, and then caulked around all of the edges as well as the window. Now all that's dry and we are ready for install. As you can see, we've got 6 brackets here instead of 2, so I'm gonna space those out before I transfer marks above the window so that I can drill and screw these in.
And if you're curious, I'm using an 1/8" drill bit. That works really good for pre-drilling 4 construction screws, but any small bit smaller than the screws will work. This pivoted into place and clicked in really easily. And then I could take this one out of sleep mode so it could pair to the remote.
And now it's time for the moment of truth again.
Dun 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 dun.
All right, well, before it gets too dark in here for you to see me, I'm just gonna let you know I am so excited.
I don't know what it is. This just feels so premium.
Oh, and it just stops like that, perfect. That cut out an insane amount of light, but Smart Wings also included full light blockers that seal off every window. And these are our light blockers so that these are true blackout shades. Essentially, it's a right angle piece that will attach a magnetic adhesive piece onto the back of. After that, we'll cut a matching second magnetic piece so that once this is installed onto the wall, the light blockers are able to snap on and off magnetically. Be sure to wipe down your wall before you install these strips. I used a tack cloth and that helped a lot. And in the morning, when the sun comes up, we'll test these out properly. I can't wait. Oh, it just snaps in there. And comes off easy. Super pro.
My immediate reaction is this is really cool for a renter-friendly installation. Also, it's probably convenient for cleaning your windows and frames to be able to remove these quickly. And I'm not just installing the light blockers on the master bedroom. All of the bedrooms with 100% blackout shades are getting the full light blocker treatment. It should be really nice. SmartWings custom cuts these for each window based on the measurements you give them, so be really accurate when you list the height. Otherwise, if it's a little bit too long, you can cut this with a circular saw, table saw, or jigsaw. It's just plastic right angle, so it's pretty soft material.
SmartWings shades come standard as remote controlled, but you can also install smart motors so that these can pair with any kind of smart home like Alexa, Google Home, Apple HomeKit, all of that stuff. If I'm being honest, I don't really know a ton about all of that stuff, so check out the website, because with SmartWings, you can totally automate these shades to go up in the morning, to go down at night, whatever schedule you want to make. But like, not just remote controlled, but actually smart. Really cool. And that's mission accomplished. The bedroom looks awesome, but we've actually got even one more bigger window with a different fabric. So let's get that installed. Before we do though, I want to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. If you need a website, online store, or custom domain, Squarespace is your one-stop shop and you need zero website building experience. With Squarespace's new Design Intelligence, you can now harness the power of AI when creating your website. All you've got to do is tell Squarespace a little bit about your brand or business, and Squarespace will generate a custom tailored website in line with what you want to create, and then it's super easy to customize from there. If you're doing business and taking payments, Squarespace Payments is the best place to do that all in one location. Onboarding customers is quick and easy so that you can get paid, and customers get flexible, convenient payment options, including Klarna, ACH Direct Deposit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay. And the last thing I always highlight are Squarespace online courses, where you can turn your knowledge into income. With Squarespace, you can build your course from scratch and set a paywall, whether that's a one-time fee or a recurring subscription charge. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description, squarespace.com/modernbuilds. And then when it's time to make your site live, don't forget to use my code ModernBuilds for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, huge thanks to Squarespace and you all for watching. Now let's finish up installing these smart shades. We know what we're doing, so now I feel comfortable tackling the big living room window. In total, it's 105 inches. And this is one of the more rough windowsills that I have around the house. I'll spend a little bit of extra time sanding to clean this one up before I paint it. But like I said, I am not going crazy here. I really still think I'm gonna replace these windowsills with some natural finished hardwood for a pop of wood grain in each room. But I wanna do them justice until then.
I started by evenly spacing out these brackets. I really think that's the go-to move, but especially on this window that was so wide, I moved and shifted every single one. That way the lower parts of the window frame was where I was putting brackets. Just like I avoided putting the bracket in the high part of the master bedroom, that's what I did here. Here in the living room, dining room, and kitchen, we're using 70% light filtering shades. That way we get the upside of privacy, but we also get the benefit of natural light where people are hanging out during the day.
And you can see this remote is a little bit different. It is black on the front, but it's also a 15 channel remote instead of 5, which means I can control all 12 smart shades in the house off of this one remote in the living room. And then each individual bedroom will have their own remote for convenience sake. Here we go. In first reaction, it's really interesting how the fabric changes with the light coming through it. You saw how gray that fabric was before it's backlit. And what I love about the color I chose is the fact that it's not tinting the color warm or cool. This gray color is just super neutral when it comes to white balance. And this right here is the solar panel I was talking about when I showed you how these recharge earlier. All you have to do is remove the 3M VHB tape so that you can mount this onto the inside of your window. And then this little solar panel will do a constant trickle charge on your motorized shades so that you never have to go around and physically recharge them a couple times a year like you would if these didn't have solar charging. It's a very cool convenience feature in my book, and what I really like is how small the panel is. In the grand scheme on windows this big, it's basically invisible. And if my memory serves me right, the SmartWings website says you only need to recharge these 2 or 4 times a year, based on how often you use them. And it's as simple as just plugging in a USB to the wall or a portable power bank to recharge them. And I'll find a really long USB on Amazon and leave a link to that in the description. That way, if you don't have a plug close, you can still get that.
And we are done. If you remember, these windows weren't like the ugliest thing in the world, but they weren't fancy and they weren't nice. I basically took an entire day cleaning up all the windowsills, and our afters look so great. This has such a luxury home, maybe even Airbnb or hotel vibe. Being able to just walk into a room, press a button, and having your windows go up and down is just so neat in my opinion. It's just a luxurious baller move that I didn't know was even available without hardwiring in your shades. And FYI, if you want, you still can hardwire SmartWings shades in. You don't necessarily have to use them battery powered.
And that really is it. I know this process was pretty simple, but I think that's the whole point to this thing. You're able to get an incredibly luxury finish in a totally normal house. You don't have to run low voltage wire to every window and hiring an electrician, which is expensive, before you even think about buying the shades and installing them. I've still got all the windows in the rest of the house, like the kitchen and dining room, to install with the roller shades. And when everything is installed, that's when you can schedule these to sort of go up in the morning or go down at night automatically based on your routines. And that's one of the features that I'm most excited about. I am really curious though, let me know what you think down in the comments. This right here is the total price tag of what the windows would cost for the whole house. And FYI, that is 12 windows and a couple really big ones. So if it's in your budget and you want to check out SmartWings, I would recommend them. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode, and we'll see you next time on Modern Builds. Bye everybody. Oh yeah, you'll see everything in the full house tour. I can't go showing you every room right now.